With it being the new year, do you ever get overwhelmed with all this talk of goal setting and figuring out what adjustments you need to be making and just figuring out how you can build a firm foundation for a successful year? Well, today I'll give you 3 ways that you can effectively set the tone for a successful 2025. You're listening to Take a Step, the podcast that helps driven young professionals turn their inspiration into application. My name's Josh Johnston. Let's take a step. Before we jump in, I gotta give a quick shout out to Woodcraft South, the official Take a Step sponsor. In a world filled with cheap and fast, nothing compares to the authenticity of handcrafted custom woodwork. Whether it's a personalized logo engraved gift for one of your top clients, a special piece for a significant other, or a custom decor piece to elevate your workspace, Woodcraft South delivers craftsmanship that leaves a lasting impression. Turner Lee, the owner of Woodcraft South, who I have so much respect for, fully embodies the take a step mentality. He spent 7 years at a desk wishing he could be more creative and purpose-driven with his work. With no perfect plan in place, he took a step to begin doing what he loved, which meant working nights and using what he had, and eventually turned a part-time passion into a full-time business that grows every year by crafting some of the most unique custom pieces you'll find. For example, if you watch any of the Take a Step video podcasts, you'll see this Take a Step custom decor piece behind me made by Turner, which just makes the space look so much more clean and professional. If you're wanting to leave your own lasting impression, then reach out to Turner at Woodcraft South and let him know you heard about him from Take a Step. It's so easy to get behind people who just bet on themselves. So the links to connect with him on social will be in the podcast description. And with that said, let's get right into this episode. Welcome back to the Take a Step podcast. I hope you guys are having a great start to 2025. I'm excited to really kick off 2025 with a fun episode I have planned. But first, I want to talk about a couple new implementations I have for Take a Step as we move into the new year that I'm really excited about. First and foremost, just to dive right in, I have plans on releasing a newsletter that I'm going to start doing weekly. And what it's going to be entitled is the Weekly Mile. What it's going to be is essentially every Monday morning, I want to release just a quick 5-minute read from my personal perspective on different tips, insights, personal development concepts, success stories, personal experiences. It's just a quick read on Monday mornings to really get the week started on the right foot and generate positive momentum to really take that step forward every single week. So I'm excited to really get that started. I'll keep you guys posted on when that's going to get released. And then number 2, right now with the Take a Step podcast, I come out with a new episode every other week. And my plan is to take that from every other week to weekly. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to continue having the format of having guests on, telling stories. I love interacting with other guests and talking about how they took their step and learning more about their journey and their mindset throughout that process. So I'm going to keep that. And then on the off weeks I have right now, I'm going to fill those with diving into the Weekly Mile newsletter from that week. So I'll kind of work through that, elaborate on, specific concepts that I talk about through it, share personal success stories or just personal experiences, or just dive a little bit deeper and digress from just the wording that I have in the newsletter to kind of have it more interactive. So I'm really excited to kind of, implement those new ideas into Take a Step. I think it'll provide a lot more valuable content for you guys. So I'm excited for that. So to get it kicked off, we have the first edition of the Weekly Mile to work through today. And it is entitled 3 Ways to Set the Tone for a Successful 2025. As we move on from 2024 and step into the promise of a new year, there's a sense of excitement in the air. The chance to start fresh, to wipe the slate clean, and to dive into all the possibilities 2025 holds. Yet, while the new year brings opportunity, it can also be a big threat if we don't approach it with intention. Without a solid foundation and a clear plan, those bright possibilities could easily slip into unfulfilled resolutions and missed opportunities. So, how do we ensure 2025 isn't just another year that passes us by? How do we set the right tone for success from the very beginning? The key lies in doing the intentional, thought-provoking work of laying a strong foundation, one that'll carry us through the year with clarity and purpose. Let's dive into 3 crucial action steps that will help you set the tone for a successful 2025. Number one, establish your identity. Everything starts here. Before you can plan your steps, you need to know who you are and what you stand for. You guys have heard me define identity in the past, and my definition for identity is the source at which I find my energy that drives every action that I take. The source at which I find my energy that drives every action that I take. What's that driving force for you? What puts fuel on the fire for you to get up and take action every day? Your identity defines your purpose. It guides you to be the person you'll become. Your identity is the lens through which you will view your goals, your relationships, your challenges, and your successes. It's the starting point of all your actions and decisions. If you guys listened to last episode of the Take a Step podcast, you heard Joe Rinaldi talk about the saying "be, do, have," and I've talked about this before on the podcast. But I love the perspective of this saying because it really dives into how the world views growth and then what the right perspective on growth is. So many people want to have things they aren't willing to do the work to have, and do things they aren't willing to become the person to do. Be, do, have shifts that perspective. We need to focus on first becoming the person who can do the thing and then can have the result. So focus on be, do, have. Become the person who can do things necessary to have the results you want. If you know who you are and what you represent, everything else will fall into place. Your actions, decisions, priorities will align with that identity, leading to a much more authentic, fulfilling, and successful year. Start by asking yourself, who do I want to be in 2025? What values will guide my choices? How can I show up in the world as my most authentic self? Number two, set a standard. Once your identity is clear, it's time to choose a standard that will define your year. This isn't about vague New Year's resolutions. It's about deciding on a word or phrase that resonates with you and who you want to become in the next 12 months. This standard will serve as your compass, helping you stay on the course when distractions arise and obstacles appear. Your standard should reflect your identity and resonate with your deepest desires. Just to provide a couple of examples, I started doing this, setting a standard for myself at the beginning of 2023, so 2 years ago. And I want to kind of walk through how setting a standard has evolved for me and how it's allowed me to really take significant action in my life. So, for example, in 2023, my standard was growth in every aspect of life. My faith, my physical health, my relationships, my career. So in 2023, it was growth. What did that lead to? I ran my first marathon with my buddy. We ran our first marathon together, and it was an amazing experience. Started Take a Step. Just because I wanted to grow, I knew that this was a passion of mine, talking about, helping people take action and pursue their full potential. I love that concept. And that inspired me to finally take that step for myself and launch the business Take a Step. I made a career switch. I left the corporate world because I knew it was unfulfilling for me. And I chose to pursue a new career in the coaching industry, what I do now with the 1% Club, and then also what I'm building through Take a Step. We'll get back to the episode in just a minute, but real quick, you guys may have heard me talk about my work with the 1% Club. If you're a driven professional, entrepreneur, or business leader who just feels stuck, like you're chasing success but still coming up short on fulfillment, the time to act is now. The 1% Club specializes in helping entrepreneurs and business leaders like you step into the life and business you've always dreamed of. We don't just focus on growing profits. We're here to help you grow you, aligning your passion, purpose, and potential. On the Take a Step podcast, we connect with individuals like you, ambitious, ready to act, but just seeking clarity on how to turn that inspiration into application. This is how you act. With the 1% Club, you'll gain first clarity on your vision by finding out what success really looks like for you. Second, action-oriented strategies by eliminating wasted time dreaming and starting the process of setting goals and taking action. And then third, accountability. You'll have a team of 1% Club coaches to help ensure follow through. Your future's waiting, and the 1% aren't just dreaming about it, they're building it. Look into the 1% Club and take the step toward the life you know you're built for. In the description, there's a link to book a call so that we can dive into what kind of goals and challenges you're facing to see if you'd be a good fit. In 2024, my standard was do what scares you. I was sick of setting goals that I felt like were overly achievable and didn't really push me to my limit. I wanted to do things throughout the course of 2024 that were going to push me to my limit. That scared me a little bit because I knew that was going to bring the best version of myself out. So what did that lead to? Starting to take my branding seriously, personal branding, take a step branding, and what that entailed essentially was being willing to put myself out there. If you guys follow me on social media, then you see that I've been putting out a lot of content, and from the very beginning, it's kind of scary to do that because there's friends and family and people that have followed you from the time you were friends with them when you were younger, and there's going to be certain perceptions of you, and I'm aware of that. I know people probably talk behind my back, but I don't care because I know what my identity is and what I'm trying to build for the future. And that's not their identity. That's not what they want, but that's what I'm trying to build. So I know that was scary for me at the very beginning, but I wanted to do what scares me because I see the long game in what I'm working towards. So that's what I wanted to do. Another thing in 2024, fatherhood. Oh my gosh, was I scared to be a dad. And I still am scared to be a little bit a dad 3 months in, but we're figuring it out. But oh my gosh, it is one of the most challenging things I've ever done. It is the most challenging thing I've ever done. But it is 100% the most fulfilling and gratifying thing I've ever experienced, both with my daughter and with my wife. Just being able to have the passion dedicated towards one thing, it's such a cool feeling. But it was very scary. I didn't know if I was ready. I didn't know if I could handle it. I was still trying to raise myself, let alone raise another human being. But it has been the most rewarding experience of my life, and we're only 3.5 months in at this point. The next thing for 2024, based on my standard of do what scares you, running an ultra marathon. So about on December 21st, I ran the Lookout Mountain 50-mile trail race, and it was the longest I had ever done up until that point was the marathon I did back at the beginning of 2023. So it was double that distance, and it was about 8,000 feet of elevation, a little under 8,000 feet of elevation. It was something that, to be honest, when I signed up for it, I was not all that confident that I could go out and actually do it just because of the jump. I'm realistic, but I also want to set goals that I think push me to my limits, which is why this was my standard for the year. And I set out, once I signed up, I had the accountability. I was posting it. I was telling everyone I knew, and that was my system for accountability. If I put myself out there and tell everyone, I'm going to have to show up. I'm going to have to fulfill what I say I'm going to do. So I, had a long training program, trained for about 3-4 months for it, was very consistent, went out, and it was an unbelievable experience. I would definitely be back and do more of them, and can look back now and say that I've run an ultra marathon. So now for 2025, my standard is family first. I know that through that ultra training, especially at the beginning of having a newborn, I took a lot of time away from family, and I still kind of battle myself on what the regrets are from that. Even though I had the goal of running the ultra, I think there were some sacrifices that I made from the family perspective that still kind of hurt. And I know because of that, moving into 2025, family is on a pedestal. Everything we do, everything we plan out, all the adventures we have for the year will be based on family. And I'm excited to dive into 2025. And we actually took on Jesse Itzler. If you guys know who Jesse Itzler is, he has a fun tool called the Big Ass Calendar. It's literally a massive calendar. It's like 4 feet wide by 3 feet tall that you put on the wall, and it has every single day mapped out for the year. It has 12 rows, 30 blocks in each row representing each day, and you can kind of plan out and map out your year. And he has the system where you have specific things you think about. And one of them is mini adventures, 6 mini adventures throughout the year. And every one of those this year we have blocked off for family. So it's fun to look at that coming up for this year and be able to look forward to that. So, but that wouldn't have happened if my standard for this year wasn't family first. So whatever the standard is for you, make sure it aligns with your purpose and motivates you to stay true to your path throughout the year. Ask yourself, What's my standard that will define my 2025? How does this standard align with my personal identity and goals? How can I embody this word in every aspect of my life? So number 3, goal setting. Now that you've established your identity and set a standard for the year, it's time to dive into goal setting. But here's the key. Why are you setting these goals? Are they truly your goals, or are they based on someone else's expectations? Your goals should be a reflection of your own desires, not a checklist of what others think you should be achieving. My favorite way to start is by setting one huge, possibly unrealistic goal, something so big that achieving it would make the whole year feel like a success. This big goal will be your North Star, driving you forward even when the path gets tough. So I have done a lot of reflection and put a lot of thought work into identifying what that North Star will be for me. What will be that driving force for me to be able to wake up on January 1st, 2026, looking back on the year of 2025. And if all else failed, I accomplished one thing. What would that one thing be for me to deem 2025 successful? And on the standard I have set of family first for the year, I've seen the way Jaden has responded. Jaden's my wife. I've seen the way she's responded to being a mom. And I saw it when we had our dog even for the first time. But she was created to be a mom. And I see that. And she is so amazing. And she was very, very blessed to get an extended amount of time off of work once we had Emmy. And now she's prepping to go back to work. And I can see the stresses that arise in her, and feeling like, oh wait, I was kind of in heaven for a little bit, being able to only attend to our daughter now and give her all the love and show her all the attention without having to worry about anything else. And now she's about to go back to work. So, and there's some stresses that come with that, and she is, fully justified to feel that way. But I look at that, and that drives me so much to want to say, I want to put us in a position where I can look at her at some point in 2025 at a deadline of December 31st, 2025, and tell her that she doesn't have to go back to work. Tell her that she can focus on being the mom that she was put on this earth to be, and put all of her attention to that, and allow me to focus on putting us in a position to be able to do that. So that's my driving force, my North Star for this year, is telling Jaden she doesn't have to go back to work. And then from there, you can identify what other major accomplishments you want to strive for that are built off of your identity and your standard. To then make it more practical, begin identifying small milestones that will lead you to those bigger goals. These smaller wins will keep you motivated and help you stay on track. When setting your goals, ask yourself, what's the big, audacious goal that will make everything worth it if achieved? What is my why behind this goal? Are these goals I set truly mine, or are they influenced by external pressures? So as we come to a finish, setting the tone for a successful 2025 doesn't require a complex strategy or a list of 100 resolutions. It's about building a strong foundation through intentional work, defining your identity, choosing a guiding standard, and aligning your goals with your true purpose. If you do this, you'll be ready to face the year with confidence, clarity, and an unshakable sense of direction. Here's to making 2025 your best year yet. That concludes this week's edition of the Weekly Mile. Always remember that inspiration is pointless without application. If you hear or read these words and take no action, you've wasted your time. The world is filled with people who are okay with just experiencing the feelings of motivation, but the people who choose to apply what they learn are the ones that will take steps forward in life. Block out 10 minutes today to reflect on the questions from this episode, and then go take action. I'll talk to you next time on the Take a Step podcast. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Take a Step podcast. If you like this episode, please leave a rating or review on whichever platform you're listening. Or if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. And if there's anyone you know that you think would find value in this episode, go ahead and share it with them. And let's continue to build this community around people who are willing to take ownership and take action in their lives so they can experience true fulfillment. I'll have all the info to subscribe to the Weekly Mile newsletter down below in the podcast description, and we'll talk to you in the next podcast.